It is really homesick. What could you as a parent to minimize the tension for the child?
Well, information's always the best thing. If your kid's really that nervous and you're really having concerns whether the child's going to be able to handle the situation, you have to reach out to the camp. I tell the parents to call the camp ahead of time and really get into details about what do they do when kids get really homesick and it's not just a little passing fad. This is helpful because if you letting the child know that you've contacted the camp, you spoke to somebody, you're giving them a name, maybe there's even a picture from a brochure, and they can picture something that you've already made contact. They're feeling now a certain connection with that person. So you tell them, I spoke to the director, Bob Jones, and he's going to come by and look you up and speak to you if you have any concerns. Because as you know, lots of time when children have anxieties and fears, they don't readily come forward and tell anybody. So you give them that avenue where you set it up where the gentleman's going to come or the lady's going to come over to the child, and they're not going to say to the kid, "Are you homesick?" They're going to say, "Hey, how you doing? I spoke to your mom, blah, blah, blah. I understand you're from New York City." And meanwhile but the child knows they've got an entree if they need to talk about their anxiety.
What happens if your parents leave the country and they will be inaccessible at the same time?
Well, and that does happen, and certainly I don't think it's a good thing to do the first or second time your kid is going to camp. Some parents I've run into, they're so anxious, to use another use of the word anxious when you're looking forward to something, that this is their first real freedom, maybe since they've had kids, is they're going to have their kid, one or both or all their children away for the summer. And they will, let's say the youngest one is going to be having their first summer away, and they're scheduling a trip to Europe. And they're leaving literally the day after the kid goes to camp. I always mean that's a terrible idea because the child knows you're out of the country. Now, so you shouldn't even do that the first time, obviously, a kid's going to camp. But, all right, let's say the kid's into their second, third year. You give them an itinerary. You let them know every day what country you're in, where you are, so that they feel some connection, just like they have no idea.
Most phone services have international texting. You can buy a little add-on when you go on a trip. So you could be in contact even by texting. You could also be by phone, but those figures can get kind of high.
Yes, I know what you're speaking about, and I understand that the texting might be one of these things you pay a fee and it's unlimited, where yes, the calling could be very astronomically high.
In the same realm, if a child is having an issue and wants to leave, can't get a lot of calls like that sometimes. I remember I had as a camp counselor. What could you advise the parents? Should they pick the kid up? Should they try to approach the problem? Because when you give in to that, you may never get the kid back in camp. Is that correct?
Yes, you have to try very hard to. You just don't let the kid come home. When a kid is that homesick, you have to really work out something with the camp where perhaps they have some kind of modified thing where he gets more time to call. He gets checked in on. You really try to create a safety net at the camp, because yes, I wouldn't say it's a permanent. I've seen kids who've come home from sleepaway camp, and they've gone on to be fine and do well. But yes, it's not. It would really be a better thing if the kid could get through this.